Do I get talked at? Yes. Do I get looked up and down? Yes. Am I happy that coronavirus is going to stop handshaking? Yes, because half the time the man will walk on the project, shake every man's hand and skip mine.
Yeah, and how do they respond?
They like being woes.
Okay. And that works for you. You see, that works for you and your team, right? And that gives you, like, like you're acknowledging the person in them. They're acknowledging the person in you. Mm-hmm. Right? Instead of just team. I like to call my superintendents by their name. In emails, I give them credit for things, especially if it's a group email. I'm trying to find a reason to acknowledge equality in someone.
Right. Yeah. And as individuals of even though it is a team, an individual is understanding each party's responsibility, totally. Distribution of power, or if you want to call it delegating, whatever. To me, it's that individual understanding his responsibility. And if it really, for the team to be successful, each individual, if they're killing their single responsibilities, their set of details of what they have to get complete, then that's I think the strongest team is of individuals who understand their parts.
Well, because of what I've kind of been through and gone through with my family, I did a lot of research on the Persian culture, to be honest, and I found out that when the kids turn 18 or graduate college, the dads give and if they're wealthy, the rich, wealthy Persians, okay, let's be clear, they'll give their child $1 million and dedicate a year of their life teaching them the business, the ins and outs. They withhold nothing.
Wow.
So they set them up. They want to keep the family business. They want to keep it in the family, but they set up their son, not daughter, we won't go there, to generate wealth for themselves, teaching them another aspect of that family business. So where I, as a female, shine, which is managing people in the field, managing business development, those ideas, like accounting is like, ugh, like I can do it, but it was just, but because of the culture, like a woman was in the office. That's just that's where they were. And you would think that I, would know a lot more about the field. I've been learning as I go, even now, and I'll fake it till I make it with the best of them. And I'm not ashamed of that. And I'll tell my subcontractors, I was at our car wash job site last week with our master electrician, who is our subcontractor. And I said, his name is Sean as well. I said, Sean, I don't know what you're talking about. Will you show me? Flips open the plans, goes through it with me, shows me on the breaker boxes. He starts showing me conduit lines and this and that and the third. And I was just, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm willing to kind of be vulnerable in those situations. And I don't have to know it all. And what you'll find is these guys that are old, salty electricians, they just kind of puddle and then they start be your teacher. Yeah. And those, but that's me setting aside my ego to find out, whereas other people might just know it all.
Well, do you ever feel like in that situation, someone is, we'll say, if it is a male you're speaking with, do you ever feel like they kind of speak at you like a woman, like an inferior? And this is something you may get personal with, but I'd like to know how.
I think
in that situation.
What really happens is it's in my own head, where I feel like because I'm a female now, I have more to prove and I have to know things, and I can't let down my walls and let down those barriers. Like I have to get out there and prove, I know it all. Don't even try to think that I don't, right? It's really, so that's when we talk about culture change and women in construction. I want to be super clear, and any opportunity that I have to speak to women in construction, you don't have to know it all. Like you don't have to prove yourself with knowledge. And let me tell you, these guys will come alongside of you and they will teach you. They will start to show you things. And we have this big yoke on our necks of we have to know it all, because then that's how we prove ourselves. We're actually, if we could just know less and be willing to listen more and expose that without that ego or that arrogance of knowing it all, you'll start to learn more. Be transparent. And I say it to men too. You guys are the same way. And that's where you guys get into it on job sites, where it's like, well, I know we did it this way. This is how we're going to do it now, versus just like take all of those, what is it? Ryan Zurhan and the Ed Milats of the world and all of these talks that we're doing on our walks, all of our personal time strategies, and translate that into the construction world and be vulnerable in construction. Hear what that guy has to say.
Yeah, and this culture is very difficult to do that because it is a male-dominated industry. Yes,
totally.
And you got to go back to testosterone. We have egos.
And I might get criticized for it, but I say, as a woman in construction, maybe talk a little less and listen a little more, even if you know it all, and allow those things to be let in. Now, do I get talked at? Yes. Do I get looked up and down? Yes. Am I happy that coronavirus is going to stop handshaking? Yes, because half the time the man will walk on the project, shake every man's hand and skip mine. So let's just get rid of it. Yes, several times. Oh my gosh, they'll walk on our job site. My husband and I are staying there. There's 4 other men, architects, owners, engineers. They will shake like a sub will walk up, and I'm not going to call anybody out. They'll walk up and they'll shake their hands, and I'm just like, I mean, I'll even do and they just go on talking about the project, what they're there for, like as if I'm side piece over here.
What do they assume when they see you standing there?
I don't know. I don't know that I'm supposed to be in the office and I'm out here on a job site walkthrough. I don't know. And I just kind of take it. I've learned, I'm super, I don't know what to say. I don't always do the right thing and hold my tongue. Okay. But I've learned in those situations to kind of just sit back. I'll think something like, oh, you don't want to shake my hand? Promise you won't get hired for this. Like, I think all the terrible things. Like, oh, you think you get the last word? I go to bed with the man that's going to sign your check. So those things run through my mind, right? But I just kind of try to shut my mouth and take it for what it is. And I don't say like, oh, you missed my hand. I just kind of shut up.
So you really have to exercise some self-control and, but then again too.
Well, because I do find satisfaction when they start getting calls for me, or they meet me on the job site once the project commences, and then they're like, oh, and they don't even think about that interaction. And I just kind of sit back, let it happen. I don't call HR, which I would have to call myself. Right. I just let it go. And then I try to win over, like, I think big picture. I try to think long-term as a female, like, what am I really going to gain by calling, like, already the action's happening. He's an asshole. Like, what am I going to gain by calling him out in front of everyone else? The sad part is when the architect of record or the owner doesn't even notice that. Right. Because I have a relationship with those guys. And then when they leave, I'm like, so everyone got a handshake pie but me. And then they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even notice until you pointed out that did happen, right? So I'll point it out to guys, like to our clients that are our friends, like in scenarios like that. But it's like things that just go unnoticed, right?
Really? So, well, let's dig in a little deeper here,
All right, let's dig.
Men they get called pigs often because I guess a lot of times we are pigs. Have you ever felt like you were maybe disrespected in that?
How long do we have?
As long as you want to talk. I mean, because that's the thing I've always wondered, and I can tell you about a job site we went down where a lady who was very pretty was an engineer with Georgia Power, and so she would visit the job site.
Shame on her.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Oh, I probably won't.
Sorry for her.
I probably will not edit that because I like it. Is when she come on the job site, and it was, I was her first line of contact, so I'll be the first to know when she was coming. And so when I notified my team, I mean, it was a whole different job site in anticipation of her arrival. And, and this is stuff, I mean, men probably mad at me for talking about this, but this is how we think. This is how.
But we know that.
Yeah, I mean, how. That's why I asked the question is how.
We know that. I use it to my advantage as well. I'm not a moron. I look in the mirror, right? And I also do have some pretty good self-esteem. So.
I didn't notice.
I use that too. If I will use it to my advantage as well. Those subcontractors that won't call my husband back or show up for him will strategically send me out there. Becca's going to meet you.
There you go.
They'll show up.